Graduated from Rowan University in the spring of 2022 with a sports communication and media degree. I got to actually call minor league baseball and G League basketball games while I was in school. And then I graduated, and as soon as I graduated, I went to NFL Films in Mount Laurel, New Jersey. And as much as I loved that experience, I miss putting on the headsets. I decided, you know what, talk is cheap. I have a laptop that's in my house, and so 21 months later, here we are, still on YouTube, calling games and building an incredible, loving community on here with the people that I call my Philly freaks with a capital P and a capital H. We go live for every single Phillies, Sixers, and Eagles game, and we do it like old school radio play-by-play style. I'm Jason Joseph, and this is Play-by-Play with JJ.
I showed a swung on, barreled it out to right field. Bye-bye baseball.
That baby is long gone.
Alrighty, what's going on, everybody? Hopefully you're all doing well and having yourselves a very fantastic day. Sorry we're a little bit late, man. But yes, we are going to be doing a live reaction to the Phillies press conference that is going on right now. We are going to catch up, of course, and we are going to listen to Dave Dombrowski speak, as well as Rob Thomson, as well, and everybody else that is giving speeches today as the Phillies do end their season. And we are going to be stopping, of course, and reacting to things in real time as well. But yes, I do apologize for making it on a little bit later than I wanted to. But yes, all right. So that is what we are going to do. So without further ado, okay. Oh, thank you guys. Thank you very, very much. Without further ado, what we're going to do is this. Okay, so we are going to get this window capture on here. So let's do that right now. There it is. Okay, we can get rid of this chat here. And yes, all right. Let's hear what Dombrowski has to say, and we will be reacting to this in real time. All right, let's go. Are they having mic issues? They having mic issues? What's going on? The audio on the Phillies is slow, so we don't know what he's even saying. How low is it? What the heck? They're having issues. It's weird. This is up. I can't even hear him at all. What's going on? I can't even hear him at all. It's weird. Oh, this thing is muted. There we go. I see. All right. Okay. I see him. This is now unmuted, so that's not the issue. Just want to hear what he has to say, man.
But we will hopefully do that sometime in the wintertime.
Over right on the here with Bob.
Dave, close series against the Dodgers, obviously. They're doing what they're doing now. Is that dictated all to you it shows how close you were, dictate maybe how much or how little you might want to do this offseason?
Well, the Dodgers have a really good club. I mean, first of all, they're the defending world champs. We went head-to-head to
You guys hear it?
really. I mean, those games, that series was very close. I think it just shows you, and it's really an emphasis for us, that we can get a little bit better in so many different ways. That's what you attempt to do, right? I mean, you're always looking to get better. But when you look back at that, I mean, they're really, that pitching staff that they're throwing right now, when their starters throwing as well as they are at this point, they're going to be tough for anybody to score against and to beat. It's really an exceptional staff. Snell's two-time Cy Young Award winner. I don't think I've ever seen him throw better. So if you're going to beat him, you're going to really have to do everything right. And we really were toe-to-toe with the pitching aspect of it. Actually, they hit less in the division series than what we did. But it just shows if it's a throw to one side of the home plate versus the other, if it's a bad pitch by a couple inches that gives up a 3-run homer at one time versus not hitting the 3-run homer yourself. If it is, unfortunately, a missed play at the pitcher's mound. If it's a missed call on a pitch that the umpire apologizes for immediately to your catcher. All those things are little things, and you just have to keep going. We're close to them. We battled them. And I think we're in the same neighborhood, but we didn't beat them, and we have work to do in order to do that.
Just wanted to say one thing really quickly. All right, look at his body language. Usually, like, Dave Dombrowski is the type of guy that steps on into a press conference, and he tends to, have like a welcoming feeling. Like everything is all good, everything feels good. If you really look at his demeanor, I mean, he looks, I don't know, he looks a little bit sad. I think he looks a little bit scared, if I'm being honest with you. But that's just what I gathered together first, and that's sort of the first thing that I noticed just from this press conference, which I think is kind of interesting. Let's keep going.
Okay, Todd on the left.
Are there any other changes to the coaching staff, or is everybody coming back?
Well, there's everybody's coming back, but we're going to have one change. We're adding a role this year to try to, again, make us maybe just a little bit better and add something. So we're going to add the position of Major League Field Coordinator, which a lot of clubs have now to their coaching staff. I think about 80% of the clubs have that. Mike Calitri is going to take that role for us. He's an ideal person. He's got the skill set to do that, continue to coordinate spring training and a lot of other things for Rob Thomson. And in turn, we'll look outside the organization to add a major league bench coach to assist us and assist Topper in different fashion of different things. But
Field coordinator?
Everybody else is coming back.
Is it important for the next bench coach, or important in your mind to have somebody with maybe more in-game, game day experience to kind of be in Rob's ear during games?
Well, managers use bench coaches in different fashions during a game, but I think it would be ideal to have somebody that maybe has had some managerial experience or that type of role, but we'll see when we get down to it. There's 8 big league managers' jobs available still. There's already 3 been hired. I don't know how all the things are going to shake out in that regard, but we have that role. We think Cal is perfect for that role. He's done such a good job for us in so many ways, but I think, again, makes us maybe a little bit stronger to have that type of individual on the staff.
And anytime a team doesn't hit in the postseason, Bullseye goes on the hitting coach's back. So what can you say about Kevin Long's, the job that he did?
Well, Kevin Long's an exceptionally good hitting coach, and with Dustin Lin and Rafael Pena, I think we have a good hitting program. You can always get better, right? Nobody's perfect by any means, but I think that they're very good. We're among the league leaders in so many different categories. We had the league leader in home runs, RBIs, and batting average, and we were pretty high up there in runs scored. I think we improved our play discipline this year. To some extent, didn't chase quite as much. And again, I'll come down to that. I know a lot of people point to the post, and believe me, it's frustrating. You get there and you go year in and year out and you get beat. that was a really good pitching staff we faced in the postseason. I don't know what you do to hit 100 miles an hour on a consistent basis. We had thought perhaps that some of our hopes would be, I mean, you're always hoping a guy throws a bad game against you. We also thought that maybe a couple of their pitchers, like Sasaki at the end, who really had struggled some at the minor league level, but all of a sudden he's throwing 100 with a split. That's outstanding. I can't put that on hitting coaches. You just hope that at some point one of your hitters or a couple of your hitters get hot against that type of pitcher. But that's hard. It's a really, really hard. And that was really, really good pitching. And
all right, one sec. You're making excuses. You're making an excuse there by saying that. I mean, there's no way to sugarcoat that. You faced really good pitching. You're hoping that Shohei Ohtani and Tyler Glasnow or Yoshinobu Yamamoto are going to have a bad outing. That to me tells me that you're not prepared. I'm sorry. Now, does he manage the team? No. But you can't come up with excuses. I'm tired of hearing excuses. How about we just didn't hit enough? How about our bats didn't come through? How about our bats went silent? And you know, we just weren't good enough. You can't be making excuses, man. I'm tired of this team doing that. I'm tired of that. Makes me sick. The Dodgers really weren't hitting. You did have opportunities. That's like, you remember how like they would always complain about the shadows, or like they would talk about how, man, like hitting is not easy, like when you're playing out in the rain. Like you're making excuses. Shut up, man. Ticks me off. Just wanted to say that.
I can't put that on Kevin.
Also, by the way, this whole field coach thing, bringing back Calitri, I mean, does it really surprise anybody? They're just staying in house. Like that's a big change that they're making. Yeah, come on.
The staff, so they're really good.
Let's go in the back left. Matt.
Dave, a year ago you sat here and said you had to be open-minded to change, but that there wasn't necessarily going to be a lot of change, status quo. How do you enter this offseason, leaving in a similar round, roster similar to last year? When you go into this offseason, do you think there needs to be more change?
Well, need to be more change. We won 96 games. And again, you're always looking to get better.
It doesn't matter.
So we will be open-minded to that. I think it's a little bit different in that there's some built-in situations for us that are going to have to be addressed. So where you go as a club is very much dictated on some of those moves that end up happening, because we've got some key players that are free agents for us. We've got the three that were with us all year long with Schwarbs and JT and Ranger, and then you're in a position where Harrison Bader did a really nice job for us too. And we have others that are free agents, but those are really the four key guys for us. So bringing them back, not bringing them back, we'd love to have them all if it worked out. It's probably impractical when you're going to have all four of them back. We also have some young players that we're going to mesh into our club, leave open. I'm not going to declare that anybody has a job, but there will be some people that were really open-minded to be in with our big league club next year coming out of spring training. Justin Crawford's one of them. Andrew Painter's another one. Otto Kemp's another one. I wouldn't even preclude it. Aiden Miller from being that type guy. We really like Gabriel Rincones, who's got a lot of pop in his bat and really hits right-handed pitching.
I do too.
Better. So when you start seeing where you end up being those free agents, and then given some of the youngsters, I think you have to balance that equation, and then you end up evaluating other moves that you make. We have a very substantial big league payroll. and I don't see that that's going to change. John is very supportive of that, and we have a good club with a lot of good players. But you don't have unlimited. I mean, I read some places, how they get better is, they sign this guy, they sign that guy. I don't think we're going to have a $400 million payroll. I just don't think that that's a practicality. But we will be open-minded to getting better and making moves, sure.
You see the
Okay. I'm trying to balance the audio here because there's some things I do want to stop. I do want to say, you notice how he didn't mention Andrew Painter? I think that was kind of interesting. I mean, you don't just leave your quote unquote number one prospect off that conversation, Now, sure, you didn't bring up Aidan Miller, but he brought up Gabriel Rincones, he brought up Justin Crawford, brought up Otto Kemp, but didn't mention anything about Andrew Painter. That's interesting to me. Just wanted to throw that out there. I'm getting a lot of Daryl Morey vibes from Dave Dombrowski. And what do I mean by that? Okay, so Daryl Morey's the type of guy who he deflects a lot. And will just beat around the bush a little bit and doesn't really focus on, when he's giving out press conferences, it's really more of a happy type of a vibe with him, or, he's very loose. He acts like things are going well. And look, they have had success during the regular season, but they're sort of in a spot like the Yankees are in. Because it's not about getting to the postseason. It's about winning the damn thing. It's about winning the World Series. How do you take that next step? Sure, these guys can have great regular seasons. But ultimately, can they get it done in October? Can they make it all the way to November? That's the question. Regular season success is one thing, but we want more. We demand more. Daryl Morey would always talk about in his press conferences, at the end of the year, it was a successful season. We took some steps forward. I don't really look at it. My favorite comment is, somebody asked him, and that was actually a really good question. They asked him, do you make it, or do you think that your success or that the season was a failure just because you didn't make it past the second round? And he flat out said, no, I think that making it to the playoffs was part of our success story. Dude, you didn't make it past the second round. How many times has this Sixers team just fallen flat on their face and not get out of the second round? That's the goal. And the same thing with Dave here. The Phillies are in a spot where they have to win. They got to at least make it back. That was the floor. And to win it all was really, I think, where a lot of us thought that this team was setting their expectations. And that really was the expectation, in my opinion. So, just wanted to throw that out there, too. Sorry that the audio is a little bit low, and again, we're just stopping and going as we speak, but I'm just reflecting and I'm just getting all these things off my mind. I also understand, too, that from a PR perspective, he has to say certain things. There's things that he can't say. I get all of that, but I just got to call a spade. I got to call a spade a spade. You didn't get the job done, Dave. I'm sorry. That's the fact of the matter. Can't just say, well, you got the bats, or if they're starting pitching, if they just had one off day. No. How about our bats weren't good enough? Our manager made egregious decisions. Orion made a big mistake. And we just weren't good enough. Period. Our role players didn't step up. That was the difference of the series to me. They neutralized our top 3 players. We neutralized their top 3 players. Top 4 players, really, except for one game where one of them went off. But guess what? That was the difference. The difference was their role players stepped up and ours didn't. And our stars didn't show up either. And that's still a problem.
Outfield as a place where you can enact change.
Well, you can, and I would think it would be. That's because the infield is pretty well solidified. But again, is it catcher? I don't know, because I hope we bring JT back, but I don't know. Where does the DH aspect of that fit into, and the outfield, who plays into that? Justin Crawford, you're looking to put into there, so into a position there and keep it open. So, I mean, outfield's a practical because it's the one area that's probably not as strong as some of the other areas with the club, but it was much improved the second half. I don't know where Bader fits into that. If he re-signs, that changes the picture too. So, but it's, that's a logical area that you would look at.
Okay, John on the left on the wall.
Dave, I'm sure you study baseball history. What have you studied as far as keeping a core together, and how long you keep a core together as far as veterans, maybe getting up there in age a little bit, versus feeling the need to change up the mix a little bit?
Well, I just talked about the possibility to change in the mix, so there's a lot of the things that end up going into that at this point. We have some veterans, but we have some young guys we're going to break in, and we've got some guys in the middle of their career that have done very well for us. I don't think when you look at the game's different, so you can't really go back and say the historical aspect of it, because of course free agency didn't exist until the 70s. And when you start talking about all those other great clubs that were there, the Yankees or the Dodger clubs from way back when, they were together forever because they didn't become free agents. But I think all in all, as you look back at the situation, I think you always have to be cognizant of the age of your players. We have some players that are in their mid-30s. You always worry about a decline when players get up into their mid to upper 30s. But I will say game's changed and sports has changed a lot. And quality premium players that continue to perform at high levels due to so many things that we've indoctrinated throughout the years. Better conditioning, better nutrition, better combination of sharing of information. So you see a lot of players. I saw the other day, I mean, I follow other sports too. Golden State Warriors, one of the favorite teams in the NBA this year. 4 players over 35 years of age that are going to be starting. It's never happened before. You've got 2 clubs that are competing this year. They got a 41-year-old quarterback that's going to be on Thursday Night Football. So you see more of that, but you also have to be cognizant that not everybody's like that, and there's exceptional athletes and how they work and how they take care of them and those themselves, and those are things that we know. So that's where keeping a core together. I mean, I looked at this because myself the other day. I think that if you look back, the Atlanta Braves, who had a core together for many, many years, made the playoffs 14 straight years and won 1 championship. The Yankees have been in the postseason 20 straight, or they missed 1 year, 20 times in the last 21 years. They won 1 championship. The Dodgers, until just, and of course you had the COVID year, they had a lot of years together with the core, and they won last year. And they've made some significant financial investments. They've done a great job, and they picked the right players. So I don't think it's so much the core if they do well, but you also have to have that core, which you go back year in and year out. They continue to work hard. They continue to be driven, which I know our guys are. But you have to perform at the big levels at the postseason, which isn't always easy. And that's like when I saw this Dodger pitch, and it worried me going into the series because I watched some of those guys throw before we got here, and they got their guys healthy and right for us, the wrong time. So we'll see how long they can keep it up.
I disagree with the point about the Dodgers. I really do. I think that's BS. The core is Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, and Shohei Ohtani. And then you add in Teoscar Hernandez. We can talk about how they had Cody Bellinger as a part of their core. That was before Mookie Betts got there. They had Yasiel Puig. Max Muncy was a bigger role. Max Muncy now is not the face of their offense. He's not like a big head in their offense. They also had Chris Taylor before. It's a different team. Clayton Kershaw was the face of that staff. He's not the face of that staff anymore. Like, what are we talking about?
Okay, let's go to Howard in the middle.
Dave, a couple things to just kind of drill down into. The outfield side of things, obviously Harrison was really effective for you in center field. He has played left. Crawford has played, center and left for you guys. I'm wondering, do you see a scenario where they could both be in your outfield next year? And do you have a preference for one over the other in center or left?
Well, I wouldn't say any preferences one way or the other and all that, and I don't really know how all that picture is going to work together, because when you start talking about the free agency aspect of it, the growth of Crawford, Rojas still is a guy that we like. He would have been. I saw somebody say, "Geez, I don't know why they didn't have more speed on their bench." Well, he would have been on our bench, but he was hurt at the end of the year, and he's fine now. He'll play winter ball. But how all that mixture works together with Brandon Marsh and Castellanos and all that, we'll just have to wait and see. But I will, and I think that's one of the things you'd have to look for us is who is your best center fielder if you have all those guys, if they're on your team. Crawford can play left or center. Bader can play left or center. He's been exceptional in center field. Marsh can play both. He's probably played better, he's been fine in center, but he's been a little bit better in left. So I don't know which roles they would play to be dependent upon who made the club at a particular time.
Just on the infield side, you talked about some stability there. With Bryce and Stott, it's been now several years where he's really struggled to hit lefties, and obviously they came up in a big spot. Do you see him as your everyday second baseman going forward, or is that a potential spot to work in Aiden Miller, in addition to obviously Sosa, who did so much for you this year?
Well, Miller, I guess, could eventually play second, but Miller's coming up here. He's going to be an everyday player at the beginning of his career here. We're not going to bring him up and not play the majority of time. I mean, Bryson Stott's a really good player. He has not hit left-handed pitching as well as we'd like at times, but he has at other times. So it's just, I think it's almost a misnomer when you say somebody's an everyday player nowadays. When you look around Major League Baseball, it's a 162-game grueling schedule, really, when you start traveling and start doing everything. And so there are very few players that play just every single day unless you're stars. And, I mean, Stott sometimes played versus lefties and sometimes not, but he's a really good player, all-around player, and I'm sure like many times your manager, in this case Toppers, but when any manager, they look at matchups. I mean, you're looking at a situation as, for us in this case, is Sosa going to give us a better chance to win this game because this left-hander is really tough to hit versus a left-hander. I mean, years ago, you didn't see left-handed hitters hit versus Randy Johnson, for example. I don't care if he was an everyday player or not. You play a right-handed hitter at that particular time because you thought it gave you a better chance to win that game. Exactly. So I think all in all, Bryson Stott is an everyday player, but at times I'm sure he'll rest him versus tough left-handers.
And then just the last thing, you referenced it. The Braves had the 14 straight division titles and one World Series. The Yankees, all these postseason. It doesn't seem like even the Dodgers have figured out how to consistently win in the postseason. I guess as you sort of evaluate where this team is, having won more games each of the past 4 years than the year prior, do you at a certain point say, look, we're going to do what we can do to give us the best chance in the 162? Or do you think there is some sort of formula that does exist in the postseason?
Well, I've always felt there is a difference, no question about it. 162 game because you're going through a marathon versus a short postseason, and I don't like to say it's the randomness of the postseason, but anybody knows that if you play 5 games, start with a 1 game, if you play a 1 game postseason series or a best of 3, there's a blue pit that can make a much bigger difference than it will in a 162 game season. But I do believe that all in all, you build your club in some similarity. But your fifth starter, for example, doesn't become as important in the postseason as it does during the regular season because you really don't use that person. I think you build it with really good starting pitching. I've always believed that. But it's still, I mean, we had really good starting pitching.
It did.
But we faced a club that had really good starting pitching. And then actually, if you look, and you check back, this has been a little bit different for the Dodgers because they haven't had as good a starting pitching in the postseason in recent years. Last year, they were in a position where they kind of mixed and matched and had bullpen games based upon it. But when you're throwing the guys out there and have them, I mean, that's the ideal scenario. I mean, I'd love to be able to be in a position. I don't know what's going to happen with Ranger, but all of a sudden you start saying, we have a healthy Wheeler. We have a healthy Sanchez. We have a healthy Luzardo. We have a healthy Nola at that point. And I mean, to me, that's an ideal way you go into the postseason and you try to do your best at that point. But you still have to score runs. You still have to get, I mean, it's a fine line. And really, if you look back, and we've talked about it here, and this is not blaming anybody, right? It's the happenstance of how the game goes. I mean, the Dodgers, they didn't make very many mistakes. Probably game 4. Muncy misses that ball at third base. We score 8 runs. We outscored the Dodgers in the series, right? Doesn't make any difference. You lost 3 games. But when you look at home plate, if Trea's throws on this side of the plate, on a very difficult play versus that side of the plate, they don't score any runs at any. Right?
Dave, they did make some mistakes. Okay, if you remember in Game 1, Teoscar Hernandez misjudged a fly ball out in right field, and JT got a 2-run triple out of that. If you remember, Roki Sasaki was not used in Game 2, and Dave Roberts decided to go to somebody else, and it almost backfired on them. That was a mistake that the Dodgers made. Muncy also misjudged a ground ball over at third base. That was a mistake. They made mistakes too. This Dodgers team, was still beatable. Dave Roberts has made questionable decisions. Their defense has shown you at times this year, especially during that series, that they were not perfect and that they had their flaws. The difference was, again, your role players didn't step up, your stars didn't step up, and they made the plays that they had to. Sure, did things not go your way either with Orion and with Trea Turner? Yes, but you should not have been put into those spots. It should not have come down to those types of plays. And your team just wasn't good enough against the Dodgers. Period. That's what it was. All this deflecting, all this, well, if this would have happened, I don't want to hear that from my president of baseball operations. It's frustrating. It's damn annoying. How about this? I didn't do my job. I should have gotten another bat at the deadline. Maybe could have helped boosted up the bullpen a little bit more, even though I know that we got Duran as the 9th inning guy. There's things that I could have done in my position to help make this team better, and that's on me. How about take some accountability?
That's the difference. If Kirk makes that play in there, who knows what happens the next inning? Right? They were struggling to score runs against us just as much. JT had told me that immediately the umpire apologized for missing the call strike 3. Right? Everybody's written on it. He makes that call, strike three. They don't score a run. So that's how fine a line it is. Can be. But you still have to get hits. And, Teoscar Hernandez hit a big 3-run homer for them. We hit the ball out of the ballpark in the fourth game. But other than that, we really struggled to do so. But again, it's asking some very difficult. It's a difficult chore to do with what we're facing.
Okay, front row here, Tim.
If there were a few moments this season where Nick seemed upset with his role and maybe with Rob to a degree, I know he's under contract, but can that relationship continue for another season?
Well, we'll see what happens. I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to get into specific players that are on our roster under contract, but the things that you talked about are accurate, but we'll see what happens.
And did Bryce come out of the season okay? He had the wrist injury at some point in the summer. Like, is that something you expect to have to be addressed at all this offseason?
It's fine. Yeah, he's 100%. There was no issues at the end of the season with his wrist.
Grace.
Dave, what do you need to see from Justin Crawford to make you confident that he can be an everyday starter in 2026?
Well, I think he needs to go to camp and just do what he's basically been doing. He's led leagues in hitting. He can steal bases. He's a good energy guy. He's a solid outfielder. So you just want somebody to come in and just keep their head above water to show you. I don't expect him to carry our club in the very beginning of the season, but you also don't want to put him in there where you think that he would it'd be a bit too much for him. I don't think that's going to happen, but you still need to show it. But I don't know what else he really does at the minor league level at this point. He's at 340 at the AAA level and leads the league in stolen bases, or among the league leaders in stolen bases. So it's really a matter that you just want to make sure you watch him, that you feel comfortable. And he has never been overwhelmed when he's been with us at any level, and we keep moving him up. And, of course, he's got the Major League Baseball background. So you really want to just see that he just continues to handle himself the same way that he has.
Okay, Colin, Jason, and Crystal, all in that front row. Yeah.
Dave, it's difficult to evaluate the 162 versus a short playoff series, but how much does that change over 4 playoff runs and 9 series when it's been a decent amount of the same players on the roster?
Well, I think, again, you have to be practical in your evaluation. And when I say this, I understand fans' perspective, right? I mean, it's emotional, right? Boom, you get it. But I have to keep an even keel perspective. I mean, if I said to you, let's just pretend, okay, we're going to change our team, and just a question. So we're not bringing back one of our free agents that you really want us to bring back. Well, there'd be an uproar, right? Well, so you have to keep an equal perspective. You have to remember, we won 96 games. We have the potential. I mean, frankly, in 23, I was more heartbroken that we lost that series, because I thought we had a really good chance to win it. I don't think in 24 the Mets played really well. I thought there was some pitching that we maybe would be able to hit. We did not hit it as convincingly. We struggled. This year, we faced the wrong club for us at the time. That's a really, really good club. They are the defending world champion. And again, that starting pitching, I've been with clubs that have had as good a starting pitching as you will ever have. And I'm talking about Hall of Famers with a Verlander, a Scherzer, Price's, Porcello, Cy Young Award winners, league leader in earner average, Anibal Sanchez. That staff we face is as good as any of them. That's how good they are. And so you're just in a position that, hey, and we beat clubs when we had those guys pitching, and we lost other series, but we lost when somebody would we'd lose 1-0, somebody'd hit a home run, perhaps. So I think you have to keep in perspective on what happened and why you lost. And you always look to get better, and we will continue to get better because we're not satisfied at all. Our goal is to get into a series like that and win this series. But I don't think you just break up clubs because you think, I mean, some of it happens naturally that we're talking about. I mean, I don't think not making any proclamations on anybody. Max Kepler, I think, did a solid job for us, right? Well, he's not going to most likely be back because he's a free agent, and we have Justin Crawford coming. So there's a built-in type of adjustment. And then when you deal with your free agents,
a lot of deflecting.
Deal with those and see what happens. But when you look back, I don't think any big league clubs have just gone out there and just said, the Atlanta Braves way back when, it was a lot of years before they won a world championship, and they had Smoltz, Glavine, Maddox in their rotation, and they had Andrew Jones in center and Chipper Jones and a lot of other good players, and they kept going in, and they finally won it. And then they played better that particular year, and I think that's what we need to do is to continue to strive to get a little bit better.
Jason,
just a little bit better. Yeah, just try to get a little bit better. A lot of deflecting, a lot of beating around the bush. What makes me really just ill about this whole thing here is that I don't know. There doesn't really seem to be as much outrage. There doesn't really seem to be as much of a sense of urgency. And again, like, I understand it's a press conference. Okay, there's only so much that you can say. There's only so much that you can do. But just a lot of deflecting. And less just accountability. You're not seeing guys take accountability at the top. And who knows? Okay, the Dodgers might win this whole thing. The playoffs are not even over. Okay? But to me, do you think... let me put it to you this way. Do you think Howie Roseman... Shout out to Howie Roseman, by the way. Do you think Howie Roseman would say things like this after they lost? If the Eagles lose in the playoffs this year, are these the types of things that he will be spewing out of his mouth? No. Howie Roseman makes it clear that he wants to win. He wants to build a dynasty, and he does it in a way where he is just such a genius. Building through the trenches. He's not satisfied. I'm not saying that Dave isn't satisfied, but you could just hear in the press conferences when Howie is talking that he is addicted to this, like it's a drug. And this is like what he's done ever since he was a kid, and he's so passionate about his job. And he's just, I don't know, like he brings like that energy to the room where you're just like, whoa. Dave is looked upon as this guy who has been around baseball forever. But to me, he just doesn't have that pizzazz. I don't know what I'm trying to say, chat. I think you guys understand what I'm trying to say. But I do know that if this was Howie, he wouldn't be saying stuff like this because it sounds like you're just making excuses. Okay, you lost to the Dodgers. End of the story. You may have faced really good starting pitching, but ultimately, you have Bryce Harper, you have Kyle Schwarber, you have Trea Turner, and that should be good enough to get it done. They should be going out there and still trying to fight for at-bats and not even just... I mean, like, we go back to these Bryce Harper at-bats. He's chasing after the first pitch every single time. And what did the Dodgers keep throwing him? A lot of it was sliders. It was not fastballs. You're getting yourself out. Even when Yamamoto, or not Yamamoto, who pitched in Game 2? Was it Ohtani? It may have been Blake Snell. But regardless of who it was, were they dominating the zone? Yes. But there were times, I believe that there was one time in the 6th inning where Alec Boehm, after the Phillies got 2 men aboard with 1 out, he swings at a 2-0 pitch and ends up getting himself out that way. And Bryce Harper just chases after slider after slider after slider. I mean, I don't want to like relive the past and what they didn't do in that Dodger series, but that's the goal. The goal is to get to the end of the line and to win the whole damn thing.
Dave, after Game 4, Kyle...
It's making me sick, to be honest with you. Like, it's funny because like I'll listen to Rob. People always comment, man, that they want to fall asleep. I want to, with all due respect, Dave, and I don't even know you, man. And I've been very supportive of you, but it's just frustrating. It's tiring. Fans want better, and they deserve better.
Talked about his admiration for this organization, how most people here have become family. Now, I know, the business of professional sports is always going to prevail, and you can't tell the future, and these things are nuanced, but what kind of priority are you guys putting on bringing him back?
Oh, we'd love to bring Kyle Schwarber back. It's a priority for us. He knows it. But I also know he's a free agent. So that's what ends up happening when guys have free agency. You never know what happens. But, it's a real priority for us to try to bring him back. And he knows it, and his representative knows it. But we'll see what happens.
I'm going to say this really quickly. I got to go to my monologue screen for a second. As much as I love Kyle Schwarber, I got to be honest with you. I'm hoping that he walks. And here's why. The Phillies, what's going to happen is that they are going to prioritize Kyle. They are going to want to bring him back. I'm hoping that Kyle gets a big contract somewhere else. Because, A, he deserves that money. He does. He does deserve that contract. But I also really want them to prioritize Ranger Suarez, too, because do you really trust Aaron Nola? Do you really trust Andrew Painter as your number 5 guy? Also, and with all due respect to Jesus Luzardo, he had a phenomenal year. Who's to say that he's going to have a great year next year? Or as historic of a year as he had? Is Zach Wheeler going to be healthy? What got you there, what got you to the postseason, is the starting pitching. Your starting pitching is what really did the damage. And he said that before. So, priority number 1, in my opinion, should be to go back and get Ranger. I'm really hoping that Kyle does walk. I'm really hoping that he gets a big contract somewhere else because, A, they need Ranger back first and foremost. And B, find a way to go get either a Cody Bellinger or a Kyle Tucker. Plain and simple. I'm sorry. That's really how I feel. And it's no disrespect to Kyle. But it also kind of is because, again, he didn't come through in the playoffs. All the MVP chants, all the home runs, that's cute during the regular season. But when the bright lights come, you got to show up. He had one good game. Other than that, he was MIA.
Okay, Crystal on the left.
Hi, Dave. You spoke about the great success in the regular season and free agency looming, but when you think about constructing a lineup from top to bottom that can make that deep postseason run that you're looking for, what do you see as the greatest room for improvement from whether it's top, middle, or bottom of that lineup?
Well, that's a hard question. And when I say hard, not that they're not any easy question. It's a difficult question to answer because the reality of it is we have a lot of solid players in our lineup. There was not a gaping hole. Now, Bader got hurt at the worst time he possibly could, right?
Deflecting.
If he wouldn't have got hurt, would it have changed the series? I don't know. I wish we would have had a chance to try. That 4-3 game would have been different. We'd had speed on the base pass. We wouldn't have to pinch run. So you just never know about those things. I don't think we had at the end a gaping hole. Sometimes guys just have to do a little better than that they do, and you hope you get them hot at a particular time, and you look to get a little bit better here, a little bit better there. I mean, you look at that game too. Also, it was the one where Sosa, I think it was game 2, pinch hit and flew out and hit the ball well. Well, if that ball goes in the gap and he hit it well, we win the game. So it is. I mean, every one of our guys, they've got ability to play. It's not. I think last year I would say, yeah, we were really probably, and I like the player, but in center field we had a weak offensive club last year, really good defense when you looked at the Rojas scenario. Well, we didn't have him in center field. We had Bader in center field, who really did a good job. So you just have to play well at the right time, really, is what it gets down to.
Lastly, what are your thoughts on the future of a player like Kerkering, who obviously had that heartbreaking, play at the end of the game, but also saw so much compassion from Rob, his teammates. What are your thoughts on his future, not only with the club, but in the MLB?
Well, I feel for Kirk. It was a tough situation. I know he was distraught. I talked to him a couple of times myself. I talked to him after the game and talked to him when we arrived again. He's a strong individual. He will get whatever assistance, and we will offer him whatever assistance that he needs, and we'll continue to work with him to try to get him through that. And I think he can do that. But I also know that's a challenge for him, and we'll keep in contact with him on a continued basis between people in the front office, people in our administrative aspect of it, some of it in our coaching staff, I'm sure some of the players, to make sure that we can give them the best support system that we can.
I wanted to say one more thing about the Orion Kerkering stuff, because I didn't really get to talk about it. Because it was just sad. I really feel for the guy. I do. I feel bad for him. As a matter of fact, I feel horrible for him. I know that I did say before, and I was hoping it didn't get clipped out of context, but this is all a part of the learning experience, and he's 24 years old. Nobody deserves to go through that. That was awful. Should he have made the throw over to first? Absolutely. And the ball that was hit was not even a hard ball at all. It was like one of the softest balls. But ultimately, for him to be put into that situation, I get it, you're a big leaguer, and you got to come through there. But I do feel bad for the guy. Feel horrible for him. And I'm really hoping that during the offseason that he uses this as motivation to get better. Because this year, he wasn't good enough. We all know that with the inherited runners, he didn't do well. And he was the type of guy that I think that the Phillies thought could be their eighth inning guy. Possibly a closer one day. But ultimately, JT called for a lot of sweepers. But also, B, he didn't get better. He needed to work on another type of a pitch. And he didn't do that. But I do feel for the guy. I just wanted to make sure I put that out there because I really didn't dwell on that. I feel bad for him. And I'm really, really hoping that he can come out stronger next year. I really am. This is something that's eating him. And he deserves to have criticism for it, but that's just an awful spot to be in. So I just wanted to make sure that I did talk about that. Alice here. What's up, Lou? What's going on, chat? Thanks so much for being on here. Lou says he's just making an excuse he can come up with. I think that's what he's trying to do, is trying to say that this team is good, so when we run it back, that people actually have hope so that they can sell tickets. Of course, 1,000%, Lou. That's all it is. It's all about how do they make their money. And again, they will prioritize Kyle. Unfortunately, you can't do that. I'm sorry. And you shouldn't do that. Hope they do a little bit better. The other thing too about the Orion thing, and then I'll continue to play this. I said in the moment, and I know hindsight is 20/20. Should Rob have taken Zeus out of the game? My gut in the moment said that it wasn't an egregious decision to do so. Tough spot. It probably would have been a better decision to leave Zeus in there. But again, it sounds ignorant for me to say that stuff now because I did have a chance to sort of sleep on it. Yeah, I mean, it's been a week. But I don't know. I just feel bad for Orion. I do.
Todd on the left.
Dave, where you were in the luxury tax last year, on the free agent market last year, you were limited to 3 guys signed each to 1-year deals, and not knowing what you're going to do with the guys you want to bring back on your current roster. If you could,
let me just say one more thing. Sorry, I know the volume. I have to keep adjusting this. I'm sorry. You know, the situation kind of did remind me a little bit of when Jeff Hoffman was put into the situation with bases loaded against the New York Mets and Lindor hit that grand slam. Any way that you looked at it, it was a lose-lose situation. And the reason why I say that is because you're being put into a tough position, and it's a position to fail. It really is. And so with the season on the line there, you got to get an out. Like you're desperate if you're Rob. You're playing desperate. And so I've seen other managers do that too. But it made me get flashbacks of that as well. Just wanted to throw that out there as well.
bring back 2 or 3. Are you going to have any flexibility to go out on the free agent market and sign somebody to maybe a multi-year deal that could really impact your club? Or do you think you're still kind of hamstrung, I guess, in that regard?
I don't know, and even if I did, I don't think I'd answer that question because I wouldn't tip ourselves where we're going to go this wintertime to other people.
Okay. And then Bryce had said in the spring and again this summer he would be open to maybe moving off of first base if the right opportunity presented itself for the team. Now he also said, long-term, I want to stay at first base. Is that something you could explore? How creative do you think you could possibly get in terms of reshaping the roster in the offseason?
Well, again, we'll have to. That's a tough question to answer because I don't know what free agents we're signing, which ones we're not. But I think Bryce is a first baseman at this time. I mean, that's where we look at him as, and he has asked to go out into the outfield. He would be willing to do so. But I think it would be more for the short term if we had done something at the trading deadline. But it's been a while since he's been out. I'm sure he'd be fine, but he's a really good first baseman, and I think for us that's the position we look at him playing for us.
Go to Ty on the right.
Somebody brought this up. I think it was Ruben Amaro on WIP the other day, that there might be a situation or a scenario where the Phillies, and they're not going to say anything about this, but maybe they might try to shop Trea or Bryce and waive one of the no trade clauses. I don't know. It's just something to think about. And for him to say something like that, that's sort of boosted my antennas. And I'm thinking to myself, who would that be for? I don't know. Just something that sort of stood out to me. And with the way that, I don't know, with the way that he just talked about Bryce, maybe I'm looking into it too deep. Are they interested in trading him? Are they thinking about trading him? I don't know.
Dave, what's your understanding of where Zach Wheeler is at and sort of how you think he might be entering the season? And does that change anything about how you approach your rotation for next year?
Well, Zach is starting next week. Will come in his rehab program. He's basically been resting so far. Everything has gone well with the surgery. He feels fine. He feels like he should be. He'll start next week.
That's good.
And again, nothing's changed in the regards that they feel it would be 6 to 8 months that he could be back pitching for us. So that takes you from the beginning of, and that's in a game at the major league level during the regular season. So that takes you from the end of spring training to the end of May. That's what our time frame is with him at this point. I don't think it'll affect us a great deal with what we do because we are looking for him to come back. There would have to be something that, and nobody would know this at this point because the surgery's good, but if everything continues to go as progressed and feels that we're on the same time frame, that would be the thought process.
And how much does the emergence of Christopher Sanchez make you more comfortable just having, with a little bit of uncertainty when Zach might be back, kind of that range, that you have a top of the rotation guy?
Well, it helps, but I would rather have Zach Wheeler back and Christopher Sanchez. So, I mean, that's the reality of it, and I'd like to have. I think for me what has been, and I've dealt with thoracic outlet syndromes in the past with a few of the players. It's not a lot of them. But as I've learned more about it, the difference in the thoracic outlet syndromes that there are, I feel much more optimistic than when I first heard that statement made when he first had it, that there is a differences between them, and they feel that pretty comfortable that he should be able to come back in that 6 to 8 month with the same ability that he had in the past.
Scott Lauber in the middle.
Nick mentioned to a couple of us after Game 4 that he was going to have his knee looked at because obviously that had bothered him. Wondered if there was anything updated there and if there are any other health updates with anybody, with potential surgeries or anything else that might come up.
In Nick's case, he has been, but I don't have any further updates really right now. I know we're following up on that type of in his situation. Probably the only guy I know that needs to have a little bit done is Otto Kemp has to have some things cleaned up in his case. But other than that, I think that's it.
Did you guys know that Nick was hurt? I didn't know Nick was hurt. I didn't know Otto Kemp was hurt. What the heck happened to them? I had no clue. Maybe I just missed out on something, but I feel like it would have been a little bit more straightforward. Weird.
Okay, let's go to Matt in the back left. Making these two here.
Dave, will you exercise Alvarado's club option?
We'll wait to make that decision announcement. We have till 5 days after the World Series, so we'll wait on that.
What will factor into that? I mean, given what you saw at the end, and I know you're steadfast.
Do not bring back Jose Alvarado. He just absolutely let his team down this year. there's no reason why you should bring him back. Even if it's on like a minimum deal and they renegotiate that, that's just bad. It's just bad juice for the locker room, man. Have him go somewhere else. You can try to find a better left-handed pitcher. I'm done with the Jose Alvarado experience, and he really let this team down. You got to move on from him. You got to move on from him. There is no way that he should come back. That's really how I feel.
Fast in believing that his suspension was not necessarily performance related.
Well, we just have to sit down, really make the final decision. So, I mean, that's really what it comes down to. Just not prepared to make that statement yet.
And with regards to Bryce, what is the club's view on his season? Was it performance-wise, and also, why do you believe maybe that it was maybe just a down season for him and not the start of maybe a downward trend?
Well, I don't think. I mean, in Bryce's case, of course, he's still a quality player. He's still a all-star caliber player. He didn't have an elite season like he has had in the past. And I guess we only find out if he becomes elite or he continues to be good. I mean, it's not like he's, it's like if you say to me, I look around the league, I was trying to think, Freddie Freeman. He's a really good player, right? He still is a good player. Is he elite like he was before? Probably not to the same extent, and so that's nothing because Freddie's a tremendous player, and that's to me is Bryce. Can he rise to the next level again? I don't really know that answer. I mean, and really he's the one that will dictate that more than anything else. I mean, is what it comes down to. So
I'm gonna put it to you this way: I know Freddie didn't have a good series against the Philadelphia Phillies, but if the season's on the line and I need a bat to come through, okay, we talk about this all the time in basketball, last shots. You taking LeBron or you taking Jordan? If my season's on the line, I love Bryce Harper. I've been a big Bryce Harper fan. But even with Freddie Freeman, with where he is now, I will still take Freddie Freeman's bat over Bryce Harper if my season is on the line. Freddie Freeman is clutch. Look at what he did the other night against the Brewers. That home run was big. That home run gave them juice, and Bryce Harper has not been able to provide that. And even with Freddie Freeman getting quote-unquote out of his prime, he still provides more value than Bryce Harper does in the biggest moments of the game. Sorry, Dave, I got to disagree with you on that, too.
I don't think he's...
And also, Dave is a very big stats-driven guy. That even the stats would back that up.
...content with the year that he had. And again, it wasn't a bad year. But when I think of Bryce Harper, you're thinking elite, right? You're thinking one of the top 10 players in baseball, and I don't think it fit into that category. But again, very good player. I have no idea when you see somebody. I have seen guys at his age, again, he's not old, that level off. Or I've seen guys rise again. We'll see what happens.
Okay, go to Charlotte on the left.
When you look at Rob as manager, what qualities do you think he embraces that could potentially help lead the club on another deep postseason run next year?
Well, I think he's a good manager. I mean, is really what it comes down to. And there's so many qualities when you talk about a manager that's a good manager. He knows the game very well. He's inside and out in that regard. He communicates with his players. He works hard. I don't think he leaves any stone unturned. He's on top of everything in that regard. He works well with the coaching staff, and we're fundamentally prepared. He's not afraid to tackle topics with his players. So I think all of those are factors, and many, many more that lead him to be a good manager. And I think one thing that always comes into play, which is a different manager, general manager too, same thing. We make many, many decisions, right? Manager makes more on a daily basis, right? He's given hit and run, steal, bunt, whatever it may be. A, they're not all going to work. And B, I don't know anybody that would ever agree with any decision all the time that somebody made. I've been around, and I've said this before, so I won't go into it. I was around Jim Leland and Tony La Russa all the time. They're in the Hall of Fame. They're two of the best managers in the history of the game. I'm sitting upstairs. I never agreed with everything that they did all the time. Nor did their bench coach, nor did anybody else. But if you ever asked them why they did it, they had a reason behind it. They don't say, oh, I flipped a coin and I decided to do that, right? They're really on top of it. And so sometimes from a strategical perspective, managers, hey, I've made plenty of bad decisions in my career as a general manager that could have been better. You make mistakes or you make things that can be questioned. But if you do it soundly, with sound reason, but I think there's way too much emphasis that's always placed on that didn't go well or this didn't go well. It's different than if you're doing something that just doesn't make sense. I mean, if you're pinch running, let's say you pinch run a catcher who can't run for a speedster in a 2-2 game at second base, I'd say, like, well, really, what are you doing, right? This not a very sound move. But that doesn't happen at the big league level. So I think that you just you review the overall picture of what somebody does, and I think he does a really good job for us.
There's a lot wrong with that statement there. I'm not going to go on into everything. But isn't it funny how we talk about the analytics department and how in baseball now, analytics have made more decisions when it comes to their impact on the game. Lefty versus righty. It's becoming more like the Bible nowadays. Right? Ultimately, at the end of the day, Rob has made so many decisions, so many bad decisions. And the fact that, look, the players, I'm sure that the players love him. I'm sure that the players really love him. Getting rid of Rob, to me, is a statement to the rest of these guys saying, guess what? We're shaking something up. We need a philosophical change. This is what we're doing as an organization. We're trying to win now. We have to go in a different direction because right now, with the core that we do have, the philosophy is still the same. When the guy, when no one's getting fired from their job, and even if it's like a smaller role piece or whatever it is, you're not shaking something up. Bad decisions. Shall we talk about not pinch running for Nick Castellanos in Game 2? Shall we talk about even just putting in Nick Castellanos when you had Harrison Bader on the bench, hitting-wise, in that situation in that ninth inning? How bad of a decision was that? How bad of a decision was it in Game 1 when he put David Robertson at the age of 40 years old back into the game in that seventh inning? That was terrible. It lost you the game. That's just scratching the surface, man. That is just scratching the surface. And then, by the way, I go back to Game 1. And Bryson Stott, in that 8th inning, is still batting, and they should have been, right? They should have went to Sosa then. They didn't do that. They went to Sosa a little bit later in that 8th inning. That was also the wrong decision by your manager as well. So he's not a perfect angel by any means. And if anything, he didn't help you. He did not help you. That's just going through games 1 and 2. Not going to talk about Orion. Not going to talk about that stuff that happened in Game 5. There were times where I actually thought that Harrison Bader should have pinched hit even a little bit earlier, and they didn't go to him. Right? Taking Christopher Sanchez out of the game. Not having him go a little bit longer. That was Rob. There's countless things that I could say. Is he the worst? No. But clearly, this man has flaws. And his flaws did hurt your team. I'm not excusing the players. I'm not letting the players off the hook either. There's two things that can be true. Your manager sucked, and the players sucked too, as far as your bats go.
So here in the front, go Dave, and Devin, then Anthony. Go ahead, Dave.
To follow up on some of the things you spoke about a handful of answers back with the talent of the club, the randomness.
Just ticks me off. Rob just can't do anything wrong. He's perfect. Gosh.
Of the postseason, the frustration from the fans and with your team. Why should fans believe in this team going forward after the heartbreak of losing 10 of the last 13 playoff games?
I'm clapping along there because that's the type of question that, to me, the media always misses out on. Why should fans care? Why should your customer care about your product? Finally, a damn good question.
Well, because they're a good team and they play hard, and it's funny when you say that. I have friends all over the country.
I'm sorry. I'm laughing. I'm laughing because he just didn't hesitate there. Notice how he just said it immediately and got so defensive. That made me laugh. We have a good team. He didn't even hesitate, man. I'm sorry. I had to pause that because I thought that was really funny. Let me rewind it back a little bit. Hold up.
And I
Playoff games. Why should fans believe in this team going forward after the heartbreak of losing 10 of the last 13 playoff games?
Well, because they're a good team and they play hard, and it's funny when you say that. I have friends all over the country, and look at the support we get from the club, not only during the season, but during the postseason, all the time. But they'll say, gosh, you have a good club. What a fun club to watch. I really enjoy it. It is. Like, we have some of the best players in baseball, right? So that's why, and we'll continue it. We have ownership that is dedicated to winning. We have good baseball people in the organization. We have good players. And so I think you remain optimistic. And you have to remember, it's hard to win. I was telling somebody, in my career.
I just had to cut him off mid-sentence. What a fun What a fun team to watch. That's what his friends say. What a fun team to watch. You know what I think is fun, guys? I think it's fun watching a team that just has championship expectations, that just fails year in and year out, and that doesn't make it back to the World Series. Is that fun? I think that's a lot of fun, guys. I do. I had a blast this year. I had a blast watching them put up one run in a playoff game. Heck, I had a blast when they were struggling against Tower Glass now in that final game. I had a blast. That was fun.
Been in the postseason a bunch of times when we had the capabilities to do it, and some really good teams. We didn't win. It's hard, you know. It's just a hard thing to do.
He doesn't get it.
And you just have to remain optimistic that you have good players that work hard, that you like watching play, and then you're in a position that at the right time they get it done. Somebody hits the 3-run homer for your club that makes the difference. Somebody makes the error on the other team, and it isn't like we go into a season and don't have the capabilities to win it. We will have the capabilities next year going into the season to win a world championship. Now we have to go do it.
Okay, Devin?
Hi, Dave. With the uncertainties around the starting pitching staff that you touched on, you know, Zach Wheeler, Ranger Suarez's future, what?
You know what? I'm sorry. Again. Maybe our first piece of merch should honestly be something around like, this team is fun. I don't know. I'm just spitballing. What a fun team.
Did you see from Andrew Painter this past season in the minors, or what do you need to see from him moving forward to give you confidence that he can be a starting pitcher at the major league level to start next season?
Well, in Painter's case, he still has quality stuff. He still throws his fastball in the upper 90s, touches 100. He still has quality breaking stuff. And I think most importantly, he remained healthy and went out there every 5 days, 5-6 days. So those things are the encouragement. He needs a little bit better command than what he had. He used to have great command. It wasn't quite as good this year. That's when he primarily got hurt. It wasn't because of his stuff. And normally when you trace back to a lot of people that have had Tommy John, that's the last thing that comes back. So we're optimistic that will, with a regular off-season training program and getting ready to come into season, that he'll be able to regain that.
Go to Anthony right behind you.
Hey, Dave, the bullpen went through a variety of challenges throughout the season, and you know, at the end, you guys didn't seem to have the greatest confidence in it, using a lot of the starters in games 3 and 4, specifically against the Dodgers. With that said, does that make you look at the construction of it differently going into 26 than maybe you did going into 25?
Well, I mean, it'll be different for one part. We have a closer. I mean, so that's big difference. So somebody who's going to get the ball in the 9th inning, then you build around that. Strom did solid. He had made a couple bad pitches in the postseason, but he had a good year for us. Banks did a good job for us from the left-hand side. Alvarado, we talked about. I'd be surprised, without making any announcements, that Alvarado's not back with us, but we'll see what ends up happening. We like Kirkering from the right-hand side. We have to work through those issues. David Robertson's not going to be back with us to start the season. I don't think he wants to pitch in the beginning of the season anymore throughout his lifespan, and so we have to build our bullpen based upon some of that. We have some young guys that we like that we're looking to make some strides. You've seen some of them, a Lazar type of guy. So we'll have to just look at the overall picture. But I do like the foundation of what our bullpen, when you start with Duran, and then if you have those guys from the left-hand side, and you have Kerkering come back to be the guy that he's capable of going, that's a pretty good foundation to start.
Mark's back left.
Hey, David. How relieved are you?
Hold up one sec, guys. I'll be right back. Hold up. Sorry about that. My dog came in. Love spending time with her, but I can't do that now. David Dombrowski's giving a press conference. I can't miss that.
Or are you relieved that Aaron Nola finished the season not just healthy but effective? And there's another one.
I love my doggy, though.
Sure. I think it's really important. And when I say that, it's important for building on, I mean, basically what you saw there at the end, you know it's still in there, right? So that's it. I didn't think it wouldn't be in there. I was a little bit more surprised, actually, and I don't really even know this answer I've asked. When he pitched in the beginning of the season, his stuff wasn't quite as good, and I was surprised that he had dropped to that point. And I know Aaron's a hard worker; he gets it. I'm not really sure why. I haven't been able to get a good answer from anybody why his stuff wasn't quite as good. His fastball velocity was down. And then as he progressed pitching, he actually started to throw the ball well a couple starts, and I felt very encouraged. And then he got hurt. And he tried to pitch through that, which in hindsight probably wasn't a good idea. And then once he came back, it also took him some time to start building up. But at the end, what you saw, what we all saw, I think looks very good, encouraging for next year, because you know it's in there and you know it, which is not really surprising. So I think when you look at him, you say, okay, he's one of our 5 starters, and I feel good about that.
As far as Jose Alvarado's performance goes, before he was suspended, when he came back, before he got hurt, could you sort of, I guess, evaluate that, and how is his health? Because he ended the season injured.
His health is fine. He's already received all the medical attention that he needs to have in preparation for next year. So I feel good about that. I think he'll be fine. It was a tough spot, as we know, all year, without going back into that, but coming back in August, whatever, 19th it was, after not having pitched for a while, is a tough situation. And coming back and then getting a little bit tender, but early in the season, he pitched great. And then had the, and afterwards, probably not, we're near, but I do think he's healthy, and we'll go into next year being healthy and ready to go.
And finally, no Castellanos is under, but he was benched for insubordination, and he voiced his discontent with his role as the season progressed in it. I don't know that we've ever gotten you might.
Well, usually my take on those things are behind closed doors. It really is what it comes down to. I said this in the past, this is by no means the first incident I've ever had with players like this. Usually you have almost one every year, and sometimes more than that. It usually doesn't come quite as public. But I usually, in my situation, settle it behind the scenes involved, and I think that's the most appropriate fashion for me to handle that.
Did you settle it behind the scenes? Did you become involved?
Yes.
Jimmy?
Dave, were you troubled?
Interesting. Cassie's not staying. Cassie's going to be getting moved. He's not staying. There's no way that you come back from that. None.
By Matt Strom's insinuation or comment that the team didn't do enough PFP during the season?
Oh, I think he said the postseason, didn't he? I think he's. I think that was plenty, and actually, as it turns out, we did do PFPs in the postseason. He didn't do them. Okay, but we did them.
Okay, Cole on the right.
What did he say? What did he say? Hold up. What did he say?
PFP, and actually, I think that was
During the season?
Did you become involved?
Yes.
Jimmy?
Dave, were you troubled by Matt Strom's insinuation or comment that the team didn't do enough PFP during the season?
Oh, I think he said the postseason, didn't he? I think he's. I think that was plenty, and actually, as it turns out, we did do PFPs in the postseason. He didn't do them. Okay, but we did them.
Okay, Cole on the right.
We got to see Otto Kemp in that utility role, played some left field, and showed some solid slug against left-handed pitching. Would you feel comfortable in a season-long platoon in left field with Brandon Marsh, who hit over 300 against righties, or do you think that might stunt Otto's progression?
PFPs. Didn't do enough PFPs during the postseason. Undisciplined. This coaching staff is a problem, man. That's not the type of thing that I really want to hear. If it's during the regular season, if it's during the postseason, I understand that they probably don't have as much time to practice these things during the first round, but I don't know, like, to me, like, during the scrimmages, or like right before the scrimmages, they could always be working on stuff. I don't like to hear that they're not working on things during the postseason or during the regular season, you know, no matter like what it is. Coaching is a problem. Coaching is an issue, man.
I can't answer that question right now because I don't know the answer. I think Otto Kemp has a chance to be an everyday player, and he has a chance to be an everyday player next year. He has thump in his bat. That ball jumps off his bat, and we really like him. We like his makeup. He can play a couple different spots, as you've seen. Where that would end up happening, would he play all over the place? That also is a possibility. But we really like him a great deal.
Jeff?
Hey, Dave, over the summer, you said you viewed Aiden Miller as a shortstop. How did you feel his evaluation at that position went this year, and would you be open to potentially moving him around the diamond if possible?
Well, Aiden Miller, which going into the season, we thought he might be able to play shortstop, but we weren't sure, just based on his size, and he hadn't been with us that long. There came no question when I talked to people in our organization, they feel he can play shortstop. Of course, we have an all-star shortstop at this point. He stole over 50 bases. I never would have anticipated he had that type of speed. He actually gained speed, which is unusual. But he could play other positions. I don't have any question about that. Now, how you do that, how you go about it, I'm not sure even yet that we have that answer, because a lot of times with a young player, you don't want to just, he's played some second, he's played some third, but he's primarily been a shortstop, so we'd have to make sure that we properly prepared him to do that. And that's still a discussion that we'll have to have, but he's a really good player and a good athlete, so, and he can hit.
And with Otto Kemp, you said something about cleanup. Was that injury affecting him throughout most of this year, especially when he got up here?
Otto Kemp, he's had that all year long, basically, even at AAA. And, of course, he was leading the league in home runs when he was at AAA. He is a tough player. He is tough. And I'm not sure that a lot of players, a lot of people, period, would play with some of the things that he had. And I'm sure it affected him to some extent, but he is really tough.
Got a few more. Mike on the left.
Dave, some hitters, not many of them, are better in October than they are in the regular season, and often those guys, sometimes those guys are utility guys or bench guys that seem to come in and put a team over the top. Is it possible to identify guys like that, add guys like that, or you don't know who those guys are until they get there and do it, basically?
Well, of course, you can't identify them if they've never been there before, so that means they've had to be there. They're usually veteran-type players, but it also might make a difference with who you're facing at a particular time. So, there are some guys like that, not a lot. I haven't had too many guys in my career that are better postseason hitters than they were during the regular season, but they get hot at the right time. I can tell you, like Steve Pearce, when I was with the Red Sox the one year, he got hot and was the MVP in the World Series. But I don't think I would have ever just said Steve Pearce is always hot in the postseason. So they're out there. I'd have to say it's probably hard to identify. Kiki Hernandez with the Dodgers seems to be a guy that always rises to the occasion in the postseason. But it's something you look at as far as your total package is concerned, I think, in evaluating a player, especially where we are with the hopes that we'll be there.
Okay, let's go Anthony, then Destiny.
Dave, you guys asked Trea to kind of make an adjustment with his approach in the season, and it worked out really well for you guys. But he still felt a little dissatisfied personally because he feels like he could give you more slug, a little bit more pop. Going into next season, would you prefer to see the same thing that you got this year, or would you like to see maybe a little bit more like he wants to provide?
We don't need to see any more pop out of him. Well, that's not why we signed him. That's why he's got enough pop. He'll hit with enough pop. His numbers were phenomenal. He had a really good season. He's a really good player. And when you look at his overall aspects of what he did defensively, which was tremendous improvement. Tip of cap to him and to Bobby Dickerson and working with him. I know he's tough on himself. He's like one of these guys. He's going to be, if he doesn't hit 40 home runs and 40 doubles and 40 stolen bases, he's probably going to be and lead the league in hitting. He's probably going to think that he needs to do more. That's how he is, and which is great. That's a great quality and attribute. But he doesn't have to hit with any more pop for us. He really did a fine job.
Okay, Destiny in the back.
Dave, Jesus had a really strong end to the season. He had a couple of really strong postseason outings. I believe he has 1 year left of control. Could an extension be something that you guys prioritize in the offseason?
Well, we haven't talked about that as of yet, but I'd love to have Jesus Luzardo be part of our organization for years to come. He's a really good pitcher. But we haven't tackled that as of yet. But he's a guy that we really like.
And as far as evaluating whether you guys want to bring back JT, how much do you weigh the success of the pitching staff over the last few years with him behind the backstop? And if he doesn't come back, do you think the pitching staff can kind of continue on and be successful?
Well, JT's a really good player. He's had a great career up to this point and continues to be a good player. One of his many strengths is handling a pitching staff. He does a great job. He works. And so if you don't have him, you have to try to replace that.
Correct.
There are very few guys that are quite as good as he is.
Correct.
In that regard.
Yes.
But you have to do your best to try to replace that if he's not back with us. But I don't think your pitchers have to take a big step back, but they have to make adjustments because right now you don't see many people shake JT off. I mean, he does his work, and they feel very comfortable throwing to him, and they should. He's done a phenomenal job for us. But those are things, we want to bring him back. If you don't bring him back, then you have to work in trying to complement your organization with having someone have the qualities, as many of the qualities he has that he brings to the table on a daily basis.
A positive for Zach, because that also tells me that even he doesn't have trust in Rafael Marchand and Garrett Stubbs. So, him saying that does really go to show how he feels. And you know what? I'm on the same page as him there. You bring back JT. What I'm nervous about is how many years are they going to bring him back for? At the most, it better be 3. I would go 2. I'd do a 2-year deal with him. But at the most, you do 3. I think 4 is a little bit too much. And how much are they going to pay him? I don't know. But it can't be a long-term deal for JT. You do have to bring him back, though. You do.
All right, great. Thank you, Dave. Thanks, everyone. We'll have Rob Thomson here in a few minutes.
Great. Thank you.
Dave Dombrowski speaking with the media, a long session. He thoughtfully answered all of the questions. And really, if you missed the beginning of it, the gist is he really felt the Dodgers was the worst possible matchup the Phillies could get. And he said the pitching that the Dodgers had in this series is some of the best he has ever seen. Obviously, the Phillies succumbed to that, and also the Brewers are.
So, yeah, that's great news for them. And you got to just see how this all plays out. You know, all of his answers today.
Shorter span here. So it looks like manager Rob Thomson is coming up as well. So now we're going to step.
Shout out to John Clark. Shout out to Bob Cooney. I just wanted to fast forward because this is long. This is a long one, man. And I'll go back and I'll listen to like what they have to say. But I need to hear what Topper has to say. Here's my takeaway, though, from Dave Dombrowski, really quickly. Just flat out BS. And nothing much more that I really expected there, if I'm being honest with you. Not really much that I can get around with what he said. And I'm just really disappointed in this organization, and specifically with him. He's considered to be one of the best president of baseball operations in all of baseball. Some people consider him to be the best. This is a reflection of him. Did he go out there and get Bader at the deadline? Yeah. Did he go out there and get Duran at the deadline? Yeah. But guess what? This is also the same guy that brought in Romano. This is the same guy that ended up getting Max Kepler. And Kepler did have a little bit of an impact at the end, but Kepler was not helping your outfield. If Kepler's playing well, I don't think you get Harrison Bader. Or you have to rely on Bader as much. I don't know. But I'm very disgusted with this organization and with how they've handled things. Again, it's not about getting to the playoffs. He doesn't get it. These are the types of... This is not... The deflecting and all that sort of stuff, that's not what Howie Roseman would say. I go back to Howie because Howie's a winner. And Dave Dombrowski has won. He has won. But also Doc Rivers has won. He won one time. The goal is to win.
Step aside, manager Rob Thomson.
All right, everybody. Same drill here. If you got questions for Rob, please raise your hand. We'll get a microphone to you, and we can start. Oh, hang on a second, Rob. Can you give me your water? Dave's back. You don't want to share that.
This is mine.
I
brought it.
Oh, yeah, it was in the same place that Dave's was.
That's all right.
All right. With that out of the way, we can start. And go in the back with Matt.
That's mine. Oh, man.
Your change, your one coaching change, what do you hope to accomplish with this by moving Kalitri into a different role? What's that role? What do you want in a bench coach?
Yeah, essentially, Mike's going to be doing exactly what he was doing last year. All the organization,
Same old.
spring training on a daily basis during the season, get all the information, run our advanced meetings. What we're really doing is adding a guy that another set of eyes, maybe new perspective, different perspective on our club.
I have to pause for a second. I do. I have to pause for a second because the one thing that I notice, and maybe it's just a title, but if you look at teams' pages right now, if you go down the coaching staff, teams do have this thing called an offensive coordinator, a hitting coordinator. And they have their hitting coach. They have the hitting coach, and they also have a hitting coordinator. I don't specifically know what the difference is. I think that the coordinator, and again, I should probably educate myself on what the hitting coordinator does. But how come we don't go after a hitting coordinator? Just something else to think about.
New ideas, but I'm still going to be utilizing everyone on that bench, including Mike, for information during the game. So I just think it adds hopefully an experienced guy that is just a different perspective and makes us a little bit better.
Okay, Marcus, back left.
A couple things. Whose idea was it? Was it your idea? Was it Dave's idea? Was it more organizational?
It was Dave's idea, but I thought it was a good idea, something to talk about, and we talked it out and figured this is probably going to make us a little bit better, hopefully.
How would you describe your relationship now with Nick Castellanos now that the season is over? Was there an exit interview? You know, obviously you're not going to give us particulars, but
yeah. How
would you say that relationship is right now?
My perspective, it's good. I mean, I never hold any grudges, or if I have a problem with a player or another coach, it doesn't linger. I'm always a guy that's going to turn the page on that type of thing.
Okay, let's go to Jimmy, back left.
Rob, how involved will you be in identifying the next bench coach in the
very involved. Yeah.
hiring process? Is it important you have a chemistry there?
Yeah, absolutely. Not only myself, but with the rest of the staff. The staff is so good. We're just trying to add one more guy to make it even a little bit better.
Like the addition of this bench coach
So
was necessitated by some of the things that shook out in the postseason, or did this come up beforehand?
Actually, we talked about it last year during the off season a little bit. Dave just shot the idea at me, and I was like, yeah, it's not a bad idea. So that it's just kind of, I don't think it had anything to do with this postseason.
Okay, let's go to Bob on the right.
Rob, when you look at this lineup in particular, and it's going to change for next year, but overall, if you could look at it and say, I could really use this in the lineup, is there of this that you would want?
Well, it's, our lineup's pretty deep. We're awfully left-handed, I can say that. So where that comes from, right-handed, about where that comes from, I don't know. Is it out there? I don't know. But we're awfully left-handed this year anyway.
Let's go to Devin in the front here.
Hi, Rob. With a fan base that's understandably, frustrated with the team coming up short several postseasons in a row, what would you say to reinstill confidence in them, in you as a manager of this team moving forward, and in the team moving forward?
Well, we're a pretty good team. I mean, we won 96 games this year. Fought the Dodgers tooth and nail. That series could have gone either way. I've been in the major leagues 22 years, and I've been fortunate enough to have really good players, be around really good players, and been in the postseason 14 of those 22 years. Have won it once and been to the World Series and lost the other time. It is difficult to grind through all these series. It really is. And you know, you look back at 22, we got hot at the right time. We caught a bunch of breaks during that postseason run, and that's what you got to do. And in this series, I did not particularly think we played poorly. I thought we played well. We played well on defense. We faced a really good pitching staff, but I loved our at-bats. Let me put it another way. I liked our at-bats a lot better this postseason than I did last postseason, and arguably against better pitching. Not that the Mets pitching wasn't very good. So I'm bullish on this team. I really am. Partly because we have a great front office, great owner. We're going to go out and try to make this team better. But the core people that we have here are outstanding. We have an outstanding staff. We have an outstanding training staff. So I'm very bullish on this organization.
Did you hear what the question was? Did you hear what the question was? Essentially, the question was, how do you sell the fans of running this thing back? That's essentially what the question was from Devon. From Devin Keeney. Sorry about that. I don't know about you. But I'm pretty sold. After what I just heard right there, I'm sold. It's been 4 years, but I'm sold. After what he said right there, I want to go run through a brick wall because what he said was so inspirational right there. Look, at the end of the day, they got the stars. But the point of the matter, and again, these guys don't get it. They are living under a rock. I don't know what's going on with them. I got to call a spade a spade. If you're satisfied with mediocrity, if you're satisfied with just going to the playoffs and not winning a championship, that is what sells the fans. That's what the fans want. And that's what they deserve to get. They are the customer. They pay for the tickets. They pay for the merch. They pay their time to come on here and tune on into these games. How do you think people really feel when you're coming up short every single season? They don't get it. They don't get it.
Lachlan on the left.
Hi, Rob. I don't know how much you've talked to Kirkering since the end of the season, but what's your sense on where his headspace is, and what's your confidence he'll be able to overcome how it ended?
Yeah, I talked to him twice. As soon as we got landed, we got back in the clubhouse. I talked to him for a short period, and then the following day he came in to pack up, and I talked to him again. And I think he's in the right mindset right now. You know, and I just reiterated that, you know, that happens to be the last play of the last game, and we're out. So it's magnified. But there's so many things that happened prior to that. You know, a blue hit here, a great play they make on a bunt. all these different things, decisions that I make that didn't work out. All these other things are part of us losing. So it's everything's focused on him right now. He's going to have a long career, successful career.
You know, that's the first time I actually heard somebody take accountability today. That's the first time I heard somebody take accountability today. But also, the catchy thing about it, though, is that he said, while, yes, that's on me, a bloop single, a walk, right? Like a pitch that didn't go Sanchez's way. I know he didn't say that. I don't know if you call that an oxymoron, but that's sort of a backslap, too.
You just can't dwell on that. And people forget, and he needs to forget, too.
Go to Scott Lauber, or is Todd has.
Does your bench coach, do you want him to be an ex-manager?
Possibly, yeah.
Experience. Last year at this time, we were talking about Taiwan, and you were talking about how you think he could get his velo back and this and that. Is there any plan like that for Nola to get him maybe coming out of the chute, throwing harder, and not to kind of avoid the struggles that he's had?
I don't know that answer, but I would think that he's going to work very hard because he always does, and I would think that he's going to try to make some adjustments to make sure that the velo's in a better spot during the season. But some guys, they build velocity as the season goes on. That's just who they are, and he's one of those guys. So I'm sure he's going to work at it and try to come in, but I don't think he's going to be 95, 96 to start the season. That's just probably not who he is. Yeah.
And then one more. You talked about being left-handed heavy. Bader had a really nice year, but if you look at his career, he's been kind of a below average offensive performer. So what makes you a believer, if you guys decide you want to bring him back, what makes you a believer that that is who he is and not maybe what he has been in the past?
Well, I think he's made some adjustments prior to this year, and that's what gave him a little bit better offensive year. So I'm just banking on the fact that he continues to either maintain or even get better. Because that's what he did this year. His numbers were really good. And he was actually better against right-hand pitching than he was against left-hand pitching. So, I think he's a guy that's going to work at it. And he's going to just keep getting better.
Scott?
Bryce had the kind of year that I think a lot of people would take, but it was below his standard. What do you make of his season, and just kind of like where do you feel he is going forward?
I think he's highly motivated to have the best season of his career next year. That's what the plan's going to be for him. Played in 132 games and hit 27 home runs. It's pretty good. You add on another 30 games or 25 games, whatever it is. The numbers look pretty good. But yeah, I mean, it was down a little bit, but still over an 840 OPS, something like that. That's pretty good.
I'm going to pull up Bryce Harper's stats right now. I'm going to pull him up right now. Really good. Okay. Uh, 72 runs scored for Bryce Harper. Okay? 72 runs scored is it wasn't as low as 2022, but that's because he only played in 99 games. 72 runs scored for Bryce Harper is not good. 72 runs scored is not good. Do you realize that his doubles were down also this year? He had 32 doubles. That's not good. He had 42 in 2024. In 2021, he had 42. In 2019, he had 36. I mean, I don't know. 27 home runs, 75 RBI. The RBI to me was down. Wish that he would have driven in more runs. I understand that you got to get more guys on base that way. 70 walks. That is what stands out to me. And how about 121 strikeouts? His walks, honestly, even if you look at last year, his walks were a little bit higher, but he played in, 26? How many more games did he play in last year? He had 49 more at-bats. 49 more at-bats last year, and he had just only 6 more walks. He struck out 121 times this year. That, to me, is not good. This guy's not walking. He's not walking. Ever since 2021, this guy's walks have been down. That's a problem. And you know why his walks are down? Actually, part of the reason why his walks are down, if I'm being honest with you, is because teams didn't want to face Bryce Harper. So I kind of have to give that a little bit of context, too, during those years. But just from an eye test perspective, I mean, how many times did we see a meaningful home run from Bryce Harper? A lot of times that I could recall, a lot of the home runs that he hit were in the 8th inning or when they were getting blown out. When was there like a big, impactful Bryce Harper home run this year? I really can't think of any. Maybe there's one that'll eventually come to my mind. But in the guts of the game, we could talk about in years past how he had those moments. He didn't have those moments this year. He didn't do that. His batting average was also down to 261. Last year was at 285. The year before that it was at 293, 286, 309. So the batting average is lower, obviously, and that's part of the reason why he's not walking as much. But he's striking out at a higher rate, and he's getting a lot of off-speed pitches. His OPS was down. That's because his batting average was down. So to me, he didn't have a good year. His WAR was also down as well. And I'm not even a big fan of WAR. So, it wasn't a good year for Bryce. Wasn't a good year.
You say highly motivated. I mean, do you get a sense that it's any different than any other, year going?
And let me retract that. It wasn't a good year for his standards. For his standards, it wasn't a good year offensively. That's a fact.
In just kind of how your conversations with him before he left, or before it all.
Well, I think he hasn't told me this, but that type of person, and I've seen it before where they've had bad years. They go like gangbusters during the off season to get better, because they want to get back to where they normally are at. And I think that's just Harp's mindset. I think that's what he's going to do.
Okay, Charlotte on the left.
Do you plan to make any changes to how you'll manage the club next year?
To how I'll manage the club?
Approaching managing.
I don't think so. I mean, you learn.
Approaching managing. To how you'll manage the club next year?
To how I'll manage the club?
Approaching managing.
He looks so clueless. He does. He looks so clueless. He's like, Are you really asking me that question? Oh, gosh.
Don't think so. I mean, you learn different things every day and you apply it, but I am who I am.
It is what
I
it
know
is.
Retirement has been on your mind in the past. David mentioned maybe working on an extension this winter. Is that something you'd be interested in, or?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I don't know how long I'm going to manage. You got to have somebody that wants you first. But I've said it many times, the last 4 years have been the most fun in my career. And it has to do with the people in the organization, the players, staff, front office, the fan base, how I'm treated by you guys. I mean, I feel like I'm treated very fairly. And as long as I'm happy and my family's happy, I'm having fun and they want me, I'll manage. But when I'm not having fun, they don't want me, I feel like I'm getting in the way, then it's time to go home.
Okay, Marcus in the back.
A couple of guys who their futures aren't certain here. JT, how much intangible value does he have that we don't see that makes him increases his value beyond whatever his OPS is and managing the staff preparation, things like that? You seem to be a big fan.
It's just it's just disgusting. You heard it right there in that answer. There's nothing I'm gonna change. There's nothing I'm gonna change. I am who I am. It is what it is. Way to go. Way to go. Great way to sell the great way to sell it to the fans. Good PR. Great stuff. I am who I am. You're asking me if there's any way that I should manage the team differently. He looked so confused. He was so thrown off by that question, man. That's just depressing. It's sad.
Of his, why?
And look, okay, I do gotta preface it by saying this, okay? I don't know Rob personally. He seems like he's a really nice guy. And again, I gotta keep prefacing that because I don't want things to get clipped out of context. We're talking about winning. We're talking about establishing a winning culture. That to me is not doing that.
And I can't put a dollar sign on it. It's just hard to do it. But this guy is, and I've had a lot of great catchers. I've been around. Posada, Pudge Rodriguez for a short period of time. It goes on and on and on. This guy, to me, is the most prepared guy I've ever been around as a catcher. He will spend hours watching video, making up his own game plan, and then matching it up with Caleb and talking with the pitchers. And he's got a great feel for in-game adjustments, when to go to the mound, when to change the pitch, when to change location. I can't put a number on it, but it's significant. I mean, he's just that good.
And you've probably been, through his ups and downs, Jose Alvarado's greatest advocate. How much will you advocate for for the team to pick up his option, or has his value in your eyes, I don't know, diminished, lessened? Where do you stand on him right now, considering what he went through this season and how he performed?
Tough year, it really was for him, in a lot of different ways. But I think him making sure that he's healthy going into the off season kind of eased his mind, eased my mind. I'm bullish on the club. I'm really bullish on Alvarado too, and I love him. I love his energy. I love his stuff. I think he's wherever he's at, he's going to have a really good year next year.
Matt, back left.
Dave sat up there and mentioned several prospects that he views as potential contributors for 2026. Do you believe the club would benefit from an infusion of some younger players into the mix?
I love young players because they always bring energy, but they got to perform too, So, but I do. Those guys we're talking about, Painter, I think he's going to be better second year out after the Tommy John. The command's going to get better. The quality of stuff's going to get a little bit better. He's going to be fine. Crawford looks like he's, not much more you can do in the minor leagues for him. And I know there's a lot of.
Let me ask you this: do you think that part of, and this is just a question that I have for you, okay? If Ranger does not come back, how much stock is it, or how much stock would you take in, well, the Phillies are not going to sign Ranger because they think that Andrew Painter is still the guy, and they want him to get more starts? I don't really buy a lot of stock into that, but I'm curious if there are people out there that sort of think in that sort of a way. I don't really think that there are a lot of people that do, but it's just something that sort of entered on into my mind. If they go in a different direction from Ranger, how much does Andrew Painter's promotion impact that decision? I don't think it has any bearing at all, personally. But maybe to them, I don't know. Maybe it kind of does. Maybe I'm reaching.
Talk about Aiden Miller. He's come very quickly. So it'll be very interesting next spring training because those guys, they're on the doorstep and a couple of them are ready to go. So we'll see. But I love having young players around because I think it boosts the energy of the team, the experienced guys, the fan base. The fan base loves watching young kids have success. So, I'm looking forward to spring training, see how these guys do.
Okay, go to Ty, back right.
Rob, I guess there's been a lot of talk about running it back versus making changes. If this club does look pretty similar again next year, how confident would you be that you guys can get over the hump? And then I guess how much do you value the continuity versus the risk of just doing kind of the same thing that hasn't led to a championship?
Well, I think every team changes a little bit over the course, from year to year. So that there's always change in there. But I'm really comfortable with this core group. They work extremely hard. They're always prepared. So we will have changes to try to get better on the edges. But if we ran back the biggest part of our core group, I'm extremely confident in that.
Howard in the middle.
Hey, Rob. A couple things. One, just in terms of Bryson Stott, somebody who looked like he was on the cusp of hitting lefties about as well as he was hitting righties. Last couple of years, it hasn't gone that way. I know when we talked about it a year ago, a lot of it was injury-based. It seems like it was a healthier year for him.
Yep.
Wondering kind of where you see him relative to being an everyday player with obviously the caveat Sosa had a great year for you, hitting some lefties playing second.
Yeah, I've said this before. I view Stott as an everyday player. But Sosa's numbers are so good against left-handed pitching that you got to fit him someplace. And whether it's at third base when Bohm was hurt or mixed in for Stott against a lefty. So I view Stott as an everyday hitter. I think if he played every single day against left-handed pitching, he'd get better. He'd put up.
I disagree. I disagree wholeheartedly. The only reason why you're putting in Sosa is because Stott can't hit left-handed pitching. That's just what it is. It is what it is. You're just trying to make an excuse there. That's the way that I look at it. I don't believe him when he says that. I don't like what has Bryson Stott shown you that even he can make an impact against lefties, or that he's, I don't know, like working on different things, and that he can do it. If he could hit left-handed pitching, he'd be in the lineup every day. It's that simple. It is that simple. If Brandon Marsh could hit left-handed pitching, he'd be in the lineup every single day. That's just a fact. That's a fact. Edmundo Sosa is hitting better against lefties, sure, but the only reason why he's batting against lefties is because if Bryson Stott could hit better against lefties, he would play. Period. I think that's like a very, I don't know what the right word is, but I don't think Rob's right there.
Pretty good numbers. And I think the change that they made, I can't give it, let's say middle of July, with his hands. From that point on, he really had quality at bats, and those are the type of at bats that I saw way back in 22 and in the fall league in 21, and hopefully he carries that over. But I think that change he made was significant, and he got much better after that.
And just in terms of Kirkering, it's obviously you talked about the need to forget. Dave talked about the support he's getting throughout the organization. There's no real pattern, right, to be able to say, here's how you help a guy forget, but what is your approach as you do that, not only heading into this offseason, but coming into next spring, summer? Are you looking at an appearance differently? Are you concerned about fan reaction differently? Just, how do you approach that?
I mean, I'm not expecting anything really, but I mean, if I see it, then you have to approach it. Then you have to talk about it. But that play, if he has the same play next year, he'll make the right decision. And we can't come up with a drill to simulate that exact situation, because I can't put 55,000 people in the stands yelling and screaming, and it's bottom of the 9th or 10th or 11th inning, whatever it was. I can't simulate that. So, it's just talking through it if there's a problem, but I don't expect there to be a problem.
Tim, right in the front.
Rob, given how close you guys have gotten the last few,
maybe I'm reaching again, but the fact that he doesn't remember. Let me go back to that comment real quickly before I actually comment.
And we can't play them. That play, if he has the same play next year, he'll make the right decision. And we can't come up with a drill to simulate that exact situation, because I can't put 55,000 people in the stands yelling and screaming, and it's bottom of the 9th or 10th or 11th inning, whatever it was. I can't simulate that. So, it's just talking through it if there's a problem, but I don't expect there to be a problem.
Tim, right in the front.
Rob, given how close you guys have gotten the last few years without getting over the hump, when things ended in LA, was there any part of you that wondered, whether
Just back to that comment really quickly. Look, at the end of the day, Orion made a big mistake, right? Made a big mistake. Should he have been put into that spot? Again, we can have that conversation another day. But something about that answer that kind of stood out to me is that he already forgot about the inning. If you care, you don't forget. You don't forget what inning you lost it in and what the situation was. I mean, he didn't forget the situation. But sure, you'd like to wash it away, but I think that should eat at Rob. I really do. I think if he cared, you got to remember those things. Remember how we gave a lot of criticism to Kyle Shanahan for not knowing, and this is a little bit different, but not knowing what the overtime rules were in that Super Bowl against the Kansas City Chiefs and how that cost them the game there? Showed that he didn't care. It showed that the team didn't practice for that. And if Kyle would have cared about that and practiced that during the preseason, they win. They possibly win. My point is that even when you try to wash something like that away, you shouldn't forget. Maybe he doesn't. Again, maybe I'm reaching.
Whether you would ask to be asked to
But
come
that's
back,
me.
and even whether you would want to come back.
No, because at the end of that game, I was more focused on the people that were in the clubhouse that were heartbroken. And I've never really worried about my job, and maybe that's why I've always had a job. I don't know, but I just feel like if you do your job on a daily basis and you don't think about yesterday, think about today, what you need to do right now, then you can sleep at night and not worry about it, because I never have.
Dave, you ran in front.
So during the season, you brought up multiple times how, I'm paraphrasing, that this club realizes they have to get the job done. Right? And then in this press conference, you reiterated how much fun you've had doing this and how meaningful this job is to you. Factoring all those in, as well as the randomness of the playoffs and how difficult it is to win, how much has every postseason game since Game 2 of the 23 LCS and this tough stretch you guys have had, how much has that bugged you, gnawed at you, and motivate you to get the job done next season?
Every time we get knocked out, and that's the 13 out of 14 times that I've been in the playoffs, it hurts. I mean, to the core. And I don't think you ever forget. I don't. I mean, I'll wear this until the first day of spring training. I'll never forget. But at first day of spring training, I got to turn the page and I got to go. But I'm telling you, it really hurts.
Okay, Colin on the left.
You had said going into the season that you hoped for Alec Boehm to handle the highs and the lows well. What did you see in how he met that goal?
I thought he was much better over the course of the year. Much more mature, handled the downs a lot better, he was more on an even keel over the course of the year. Now everybody blows up at some point because they get frustrated, and it's a tough sport, and there's a lot of failure here. But I thought overall he was much, much better.
I don't know how much more I can take of this, to be honest with you.
Martin, right in the middle.
Hi, Rob.
I don't know.
You mentioned, if I could follow up on Bryce Harper, you'd mentioned that he's going to be highly motivated to come back strong next year and everything. And I just wanted to ask, how important, whether or not you guys have changes or not in the lineup with, guys like Schwarber and JT, who may or may not be back, what do you need to see from Bryce as far as going forward that maybe you didn't see as much this season?
What I like to see is him just be himself, try not to do too much, and really focus on hitting the ball the other way. Because when he does that, when he stays on the ball, he is such a great hitter. But I think he gets into the mindset that he just tries to do a little bit too much because he knows that he's Bryce Harper, and then he starts getting off the ball and things like that. So I just want him to be himself.
Stop chasing.
Okay, Anthony.
Please stop chasing.
Hey, Rob, earlier when you were talking about the Kirkering play, you said that there was a dozen other things that happened before it, right? And you even said that there were a couple of decisions that you made that, didn't work out. With hindsight being 2020, is there anything that you would have done differently in the 4 games?
Well, not necessarily in the 4 games. But what I would have done differently is checked a few more boxes going into the playoffs as far as like David Robertson having an up-down. He hadn't had one. Bringing Strom in the middle of an inning. We didn't check that box. Tried to. Would it have made a difference? I don't know. But I know that if we checked that box, I could sleep a little bit better.
Todd on the left.
It is what it is. I am what I am. I mean, like, that's like... You wouldn't change not bringing in David Robertson, or I don't know, you wouldn't have changed who you go to out of your bullpen and how long you keep certain guys out there. You wouldn't change that? No? Wow.
Rob, what did you make of Strom's comments after Game 4 that he wished that as a veteran he would have advocated for more PFPs, and it's tough to ask somebody to make a play when it's not practiced?
Well, we did do PFP during the break prior to the series, and it was a long PFP. But again, me or nobody else can simulate that situation. Bobble, bases loaded, 55,000 people, tie game, extra innings. We could hit him that ball 1,000 times and make the play, but I can't simulate all the other things. So, you just keep working on it, try to get better, but we did do PFP.
Okay, let's go to Jeffrey on the right.
And hey, Rob.
Somebody's
you
lying.
Express kind of the infusion of youth. I know you've touched on it a bit, but how excited are you to see a player like Justin Crawford or even an Ian Miller or an Andrew Painter just try to crack this lineup next year?
Yeah, it's always exciting. I come from player development. I always feel like I'm a player development guy. So I love young kids. I love seeing them grow, getting better, getting to the big leagues, reaching their goals, their dreams. It's always exciting for me.
Okay, Cole, right behind.
Hi, Rob. In terms of lineup construction, we saw a lot of Alec Boehm, JT Realmuto in the cleanup spot. 2 contact first bats who struggled with runners in scoring position this year. Are you taking this contact first approach in the cleanup spot into next season, or is it too early to say?
That's too early to say.
And to follow up, do you think Otto Kemp could be an everyday player for you down the line? Is what you took away from his utility man role enough for you to firmly say that?
Yeah, I think so. I think he, will continue to help him get better on the defensive side, but I really liked his at-bats. He uses the entire field. He's got a lot of thump. He's grounded emotionally, mentally, and emotionally. I really like him. I think he can be an everyday player.
Okay, Scott in the middle.
Where's he gonna play?
Just to follow on Justin Crawford. He's played center field. He's played some left.
Chat. What is Otto Kemp's position? Like, what is his future position? Is it third base? Is it left field? What's his position? Is it first? Like, where does he play? Where does he play?
Field. What do you hear from player development about kind of where he might be the best fit out there?
Yeah, from what I hear, he can play both well. Maybe a little bit better in left than he is in center, but we'll see.
Hi again, Rob. When you talk about clubhouse culture and potentially
I
losing
agree.
these cornerstone guys, I know you talked about JT Realmuto earlier, but a guy like Kyle Schwarber, how much does he bring to the clubhouse culture, as a leader in his off the field, persona, personality? And if he isn't to return, how big of a loss would that be for the clubhouse?
Yeah, he brings a lot. Obviously, we've talked about it for 4 years, just his calmness, his professionalism, experience that he brings, how he can talk to the younger players and when they're scuffling, and Schwarber might be scuffling at the same time, but he's going to try to talk somebody else through their problems. So he's a huge piece in that clubhouse. Now, let's say we lose him. Hopefully some other guys have learned from him and they can carry it on. But hopefully we don't lose him.
Let's go to Tim and then Rock and then Destiny.
Hi, Rob. The talk about running it back with a similar team. In the clubhouse and for yourself, do you feel like the opposite can be true, that you actually know how close you are and it can work? Let's not be premature to break something up, but let's keep going with what we got, because it is so hard to win and we have the pieces ready to go. Let's just give it another run.
Yeah, I'm a believer in that. I really am, because I believe in these players and I know what type of conditioning they do to keep their bodies in shape and how much they prepare and how much they work and compete. So I do, but there's always going to be change. There's always going to be change. So just.
Do these guys understand what time is? That's something that's sort of entering into my mind too. It's not like as these players get older, they get better. A lot of times as you get older, you become more injury prone and your body starts to wear and tear. It's like a car. Do they understand that things just don't get easier? And for Bryce Harper's sake, it's not going to get any easier for him as he gets older. Are they just infatuated with what Bryce Harper is on the outside, like looking on in, and like what Bryce Harper's overall stats are? Or is it just like, I don't know. I don't think that they have a concept of time. Maybe that sounds ignorant. But that's to me like what it really sounds like.
Hopefully we make the right changes.
A couple more. Rock. Go ahead.
Rob, how would you evaluate the job that Rafael Marchand did, 105 at-bats?
Unbelievable. I mean, that is one of the toughest jobs you can ever have, is to be the backup catcher to JT Realmuto. Play every 5 days. Plus, this is a young player who's played pretty much every day when he's played in the minor leagues, to be able to come up, make that adjustment. Plus, he's a switch hitter. He's got to do extra work because he's got to practice from both sides of the plate. The thing, I think he's learned a lot from JT and from Caleb about game planning and preparing for that night's game. I think he did a phenomenal job. He really did.
Our last one, Destiny.
Rob, 2 years ago, the messaging after the Game 7 loss was we need to eliminate some of the chasing. Last year was focus on going the other way. Like, what is the overarching message this year as far as, like, the approach? Like, does the approach at all need to change?
I'm still working on that because, like I said earlier, I thought we really played well during that series. And it was, you look at all the stats, offense, defense, pitching, it's so close. We stayed in the zone for the most part, much better than we did the previous year. So I'm still working on a message because I'm trying to figure out, what exactly went wrong there because, again, I thought we played well.
JT said in the locker room after Game 4 that last year's loss hurt a little bit more because he felt that you guys kind of beat yourselves up. Like, do you kind of agree with him that, like, last year you guys might have, like, beat yourselves, but this year it's a little bit different?
Yeah, but it still hurts. But, yeah,
They beat
I thought
themselves this year, too.
Again, we played much better this year than we did last year.
Okay. No further questions. Thank you, Rob. Thanks, everyone, for joining us.
Thanks,
Press
everybody.
box is open until 3:30.
That was something. They just don't get it. They don't understand. They don't get it. They are so clueless. Where was John Middleton? Why wasn't John there? Why wasn't John there? Just out of curiosity. They're so clueless. That's my takeaway. They did get outplayed. They did beat themselves up. They can't see that. Nope. They can't see that at all. I will do a video sometime, maybe not today, but possibly tomorrow, just to give like my overall thoughts of this press conference. To sit through that was awful. That was terrible. That may have been worse than, I don't know if that was worse than last year's, but that was pretty bad. That was pretty awful. Almost put me to sleep, man. Crazy. I love you guys. I'll be back on a little bit later tonight. Boy, does this franchise have a lot of questions moving forward. And it's really sad that we're in this state. It's sad. But, oh well. All right, Lala Tov. I'll catch you all in the next one. And we'll talk about the Phillies soon. All right.